The past few weeks have sounded new alarms about challenges posed by climate change. Once again, climate activists will try to make sure local communities are informed, mobilized, and prepared. To tell us what's lined up for this year's events to mark Climate Preparedness Week is the main organizer, Senior Program Manager for Communities Responding to Extreme Weather, or CREW, Reverend Vernon K. Walker. Also with us is one of the event's participants, the Executive Director of the Mattapan Food and Fitness Coalition, Shavel'le Olivier. I'd like to thank you both very much for being with us.
Glad to be here.
Thanks.
I want to start with Reverend Walker about the reason for holding this, because getting prepared, I guess it means more than just going to Home Depot and buying some things. I mean, I guess you really need to get people thinking in a different way. So what does that mean?
September is National Preparedness Month, and we thought it would be appropriate at CREW to hold these Climate Preparedness Week because we realize and we recognize that extreme weather is here with us. It will continue to get more intense, such as heat waves, floods, stormwater runoff. We will see a myriad of hurricanes. We will see a myriad of extreme weather events impact Boston and greater Boston. And simply put, we believe the best way to become climate resilient is through social resilience. And what that means is being connected to neighbors in the community, being connected one with another, being connected with institutions in the communities that are serving a good purpose, such as libraries, faith organizations, etc. So CREW is just really built on this idea that social resilience is the best way to become climate resilient. And people don't often plan to fail, they just fail to plan. So we are here to help people plan in an equitable and sustainable manner to become climate resilient so that when the storms come and the rain come and the heat waves come, people are not caught off guard, but they're ready to respond appropriately to these extreme weather events.
I'll turn to Shavel'le Olivier. Mattapan does have a river flowing past it, but this is not a classic ocean community where the waves come in big time. What are the main effects of climate change that people are contending with right now?
So one of the biggest climate change effects that people are dealing with here in Mattapan, as Vernon said, is us being a heat island. There's not a lot of shaded areas, a lot of greenery. Our largest green space is the cemetery. We do have a few parks and green spaces, but that's it. If you are one of our major corridors or two of our major corridors are Cummins Highway and Blue Hill Ave, and lots of people utilize this as a mode of transportation, whether walking or taking a bus or biking on it if you dare. But there's not a lot of street trees there. There's not a lots of places for people to sit and gather. And when you're out and you're hot and you're walking down that stretch of Blue Hill Ave, you're gonna get sweaty, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna get irritated, you're gonna get really stressed. So that's one of the things that we're dealing with here in Mattapan.
I do enough walking to know I hate passing through heat islands and I love the shade, but if you're trying to get more people to go out and move around and just feel them have them feel incentivized to do that, what's needed?
What's needed is they need to know what the benefits are, right? And people don't know what they don't know if they're not exposed to it. And one of the things that we need to make sure that our neighborhoods fit the way that we want them to work for us. So if we want to enjoy more walking, we have to advocate for more places to walk, safer sidewalks, make sure the sidewalks are not cracked and bumpy, but not only those who are able-bodied, able to walk on two legs, we have to make sure that sidewalk is safe for those who have mothers or those who identify as women that have babies. We have to make sure it's safe for those who have wheelchairs, those who walk with canes, those who have disabilities, they may be a person who's blind. We have to make sure that our residents are able to advocate for those things by giving them the terminology. What can they see to make our sidewalks safer? Some of our residents don't know what to do or what can they do to make sure that we're able to walk more in our community.
Reverend Walker, I want to come back to the name of your organization because it includes the term extreme weather. We heard a bit more about that in December. Things like flooded basements in Queens where people were dying. What does that mean in Boston?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I think what we should recognize here in the Bay State, particularly here in Eastern Massachusetts, is that Boston is not exempt from extreme weather. We are a coastal community. We are surrounded by water. We have lots of communities in our city that are vulnerable to extensive flooding, such as East Boston, Dorchester, Back Bay, for instance. And, Boston is a city that's on landfill. And we also experience extensive heat waves. And if the science is correct, which we believe, that Boston could feel like Alabama by 2100 with so many extensive heat days and with most of the summer being over 90-degree temperature. Which we know is disastrous and deadly. So I'm really thankful for the work that organizations such as the Mattapan Food and Fitness that Shavel'le is leading to get people involved, to get people connected, to get people seeing each other in a safe manner, and to understand what I think is to recognize our humanity and how we're all tied in an inescapable garment of mutuality. And what affects one directly affects us all indirectly, as Dr. King had mentioned. But Boston is a city that's vulnerable, Seaport District, and Hurricane Sandy in 2012 would have flooded more extensively the city if it had hit Boston 5 hours earlier at high tide. Yes, we did get some flooding, but we didn't get deep, extensive flooding because it missed high tide. But unfortunately, because climate change is happening, and it has been happening since the Industrial Revolution, we are going to see more hurricanes and more floods, et cetera. So Boston is a city that is very much at risk.
Kelly, I want to ask you about the infrastructure for transportation. I'm sure you've done a lot of biking. You must know what it's like to bike along Blue Hill Avenue. And maybe you've seen what they've done recently on Commonwealth Avenue, which has a great patch of infrastructure for bikes. How does that make you feel about what should be done on Blue Hill Avenue?
So I know for me personally, right, because there's a lot of feedback from residents about how they feel about the streets in Mattapan being changed, Cummins Highway, American Legion. The city is getting a lot of feedback about that. But personally, I feel like it is a good thing. For so long, our streets have been dedicated to cars, and Blue Hill Ave was, as I understand it, was created so people from the suburbs can get to their jobs downtown. So it was like a pass through our community. And we want to make sure that we're taking our community back. And as I mentioned before, we want to utilize it the way that we want to utilize it because we live here. So if the city of Boston comes and, talks to residents about what it is that they would like to see on Blue Hill Ave, I really hope that residents take the opportunity to do so because it's directly related to climate change. It's directly related to how people access different things, different green spaces, food places, parks, things like that. So yeah.
Reverend, I want to ask you also about one of the other events that are included here, and this is really focused on trees, the idea of an urban forest. Why is that so crucial now?
Oh, yes. That is our event with the organization Speak for the Trees. We also have Maggie Owens from Boston Parks and Recreation Department. We also have Molly Henry, who is the Senior Program Manager of Climate and Health at the American Forest. And we're having an event to talk about the importance of urban forestry, because we know that when a community is shaded and it has a sufficient amount of trees, it can help cool down the community during a really hot, intensive heat wave. It can make a 80-degree temperature day feel like 70 degrees. And if it's really plentiful of trees and the neighborhood is plentiful of trees, but if the neighborhood is deprived of trees and it is devoid of trees, then that 80-degree temperature day can feel like 90 degrees. And it is, which therefore allows people, unfortunately, will put people at risk from suffering from heat strokes, heat exhaustion, etc. So we're at that particular event. We are going to talk about the importance of why we need tree and we need urban canopy because the urban heat island effect is dangerous, it's deadly, it's disastrous, and it disproportionately affects people of color. So we know that the climate crisis affects us all, and we know that it's the greatest existential threat to our human existence. But there are certain communities and neighborhood amongst the human family that are disproportionately affected: Black and brown communities, coastal communities, and these are considered frontline communities. So we're going to get together. We're getting we're having someone from the city of Boston and from the Speak for the Trees organization and American Forestry and crew talk about why we need more trees. And also, just to mention, the Speak for the Trees is an organization that's dedicated to planting trees in communities. So they work with community organizations to plant trees. So they're not just, they're just not just articulating what the problem is, but they're also at the grassroots trying to help solve the problem.
I know you have an opening event tomorrow with the author, David Pogge. If people want more details about this, and a lot of it is virtual, so they can plug in from anywhere, what's the best way to get some details on that?
Yes, please go to the website, www.climatecrew.org, and go to our 2021 Climate Prep Week event. And there you can register for all the different events. We're excited about the so many different potential events that's happening. We also have over 70 events that's happening that organizations across the country are hosting. And we are elephant happy and peacock proud that Shavel'le will be joining this one of the central events along to the event that talks about the intersection of public health, climate change, and community. So many great panelists. She's one of our panelists, and just too many to name for the time we have allotted for this segment. But please do check out www.climatecrew.org, and then you go to our Climate Prep Week 2021, and you can find out more information. Tell Lottie, Dottie, and everybody that join us, because that is the place to be. So we will look forward to seeing you there virtually, and let us come together. And we have events all year round, not just the September 24th to September 30th, but Crew has events all year round where we distribute heat kits during the summer, and also we have winter kits that we distribute. So if you'd like to find out more about us, please do check us out. Maybe if you live in Mattapan, please do check out Mattapan Food and Fitness, and maybe Shavel'le can tell you how to.
Yes, very briefly, Shavel'le, you get the website for Mattapan Food and Fitness?
Yeah, so the website for Mattapan Food and Fitness Coalition is mattapanfoodandfit.org.